My dear friends, I want to speak to you today with the assurance that no matter where you find yourself right now, no matter the trials or uncertainty, there is a promise from God that He will open the door ahead of you. When the way seems dark and you feel as though you're standing at the threshold of defeat, remember this: our God is a God of opportunity. He is a God who opens doors that no man can shut, and closes doors that no man can open. His plan for your life is good, and though the road may seem long and difficult, He is preparing a way for you even now. So take heart, my friend, and trust in His timing. The door you've been waiting for will open. Don't worry, it's coming. God's timing is perfect, and it is something we must trust even when our human understanding falls short. Often we find ourselves frustrated or anxious when things don't unfold the way we expect them to. We live in a world that values instant gratification, where everything seems to happen in a hurry. But God, in His infinite wisdom, operates on a different timeline, one that is beyond our comprehension. His timing is always right, even when it doesn't align with our own. We may pray and seek answers hoping for a quick response, but there is a divine rhythm to His plan that we can't always see. Sometimes we have to wait, because God is working behind the scenes, arranging circumstances and preparing us for what is to come. His delays are not denials, they are part of the process that leads us to something greater. We can't always know why things are taking longer than we expect, but we can be sure that God is never late. In those moments of waiting, it is important to remember that God sees the whole picture while we only see part of it. He understands what we need and when we need it. His delays are not to harm us, but to shape us, to grow our faith and to build our character. Trusting in His perfect timing means surrendering control and believing that He is always working things out for our good. It means understanding that our lives are in the hands of a loving Father who knows what is best for us and will open doors when the time is right according to His divine will. Trust that God knows what's ahead, even when we can't see what lies in the future. We must remember that God is already there. He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. This means that while we are caught in the present moment, He sees the entire span of our lives. We often worry about what will happen next, whether it's in our personal lives, careers, or relationships. But God, in His infinite wisdom, already knows what is to come. When we place our trust in Him, we release the burden of trying to control the future. The unknown becomes less frightening, because we know that God is leading us step by step. There is comfort in knowing that while we may not have all the answers, He does. Our fears, doubts, and uncertainties can cloud our vision, but God sees clearly. His plans for us are always for our good, even when the past seems unclear. God's knowledge of the future is not just a passive awareness. It's an active force that guides and directs our lives. We can have peace knowing that no matter what challenges we face or what doors seem closed, He is already working on our behalf. We don't need to worry about the next step because He has already charted the course. All we need to do is trust Him and move forward in faith, confident that the one who holds our future is more than capable of guiding us through it. Your current struggles are not your destination. It's easy to become overwhelmed when faced with challenges, setbacks, and hardships. In those moments, it may feel like the difficulties will never end, and the weight of the struggle is too much to bear. But we must remember that our struggles are not the end of our story. They are simply a chapter in the journey. God doesn't promise that life will always be easy, but He does promise that He will never leave us or forsake us. The trials we face are not meant to define us, they are meant to refine us. Through every challenge, God is shaping our character, building our strength, and drawing us closer to Him. Our struggles may seem like a detour, but they are part of the greater plan God has for our lives. It's important to keep perspective during these tough times, and remember that what we are going through is temporary. God has a greater purpose for us, and this moment, no matter how painful or difficult, is not our final destination. What feels like a dead end today may be the very thing God uses to launch us into a new season of growth and blessing tomorrow. Our struggles are stepping stones, not roadblocks. When we hold on to faith and trust in God's plan, we can walk through even the hardest times with the assurance that they are not where we're meant to stay. Better days are ahead, and God is preparing us for them. Every closed door is a step towards a better opportunity. It can be difficult to understand why certain doors in life seem to shut before us, especially when we have invested so much time, energy, and hope into what we thought would be the right path. But we must remember that a closed door is not the end. It's often a redirection. God, in His infinite wisdom, knows what lies beyond the doors we are seeking to open. Sometimes, the doors that close are protecting us from things that aren't part of His plan for us, even though we may not understand it at the time. When one opportunity slips away, it is not a sign of failure, but an invitation to trust that something better is on the horizon. A closed door is a divine signal to seek another path, one that leads to greater blessings and fulfillment. We may not immediately see the next step, but God, who holds the blueprint of our lives, is working behind the scenes to guide us towards something more fitting for our purpose. Each door that closes leads us closer to the one that is meant for us. God's plan for our lives is not limited to the doors we think are best. He is constantly at work, even when we can't see it, opening the doors that align with His will for us. Trusting in God's timing and plan means knowing that every closed door is a step in the right direction, even if we can't yet see the full picture. Keep your faith strong, even when you don't see the way. In life, there will be moments when the path ahead is unclear, when uncertainty and doubt seem to overshadow the hope we once held. It's easy to lose faith when things don't go according to our plan, or when we can't see the end result. But it is precisely in these moments of uncertainty that our faith is tested and strengthened. Faith is not just about believing when things are going well or when everything is in our favor. True faith is about trusting in God even when the road ahead is dark and the way seems impossible. It is about believing that He is working, even when we don't understand how or why. God doesn't always reveal the next step, but He calls us to trust Him, even in the unknown. In these seasons, it's important to hold on to the promises of God. When we can't see the way, we rely on the truth that God is always with us, guiding us and working on our behalf. Our faith is not based on what we can see with our eyes, but on what we know in our hearts, that God is faithful and He will make a way where there seems to be no way. It is in these moments of trust that we experience the deepening of our relationship with Him and the strengthening of our faith. So, even when you can't see the way, remember that God sees it, and He will guide you through. Keep trusting, keep believing, keep walking in faith. Patience is a sign of trust in God's plan. In a world that thrives on instant gratification, waiting can feel like an unbearable burden. We often want answers right away, and when things don't happen as quickly as we expect, frustration can set in. But patience is more than just waiting. It is an act of faith and trust in God's timing. It is acknowledging that His plan for us is perfect, even when we don't understand why things are taking longer than we hoped. When we practice patience, we are saying to God, I trust you with my life and my future. I trust that you know what's best for me, even if I can't see it right now. Patience allows God to work in us and through us, refining our character and preparing us for what He has in store. It's in the waiting that we learn to depend more on Him, rather than relying on our own understanding or trying to force our own timing. God is never in a hurry, and neither should we be. His plans unfold at the perfect moment. And when we trust in His timing, we are opening ourselves up to receive the fullness of what He has prepared for us. Patience is not passive. It's an active trust that God is in control and that He is working things out for our good. It's a reminder that we don't have to rush ahead of Him or try to force open doors. In His time, He will make a way. God's provisions are always greater than our expectations. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking we know what we need or what will bring us fulfillment. We often set limits on what we think is possible, thinking that what we can see or imagine is the best we can get. But God, in His infinite wisdom, knows far better than we do what we truly need. His provisions for us are not limited to what we expect, but are often far greater, more abundant, and more fulfilling than we could ever imagine. When we trust God with our needs, we are acknowledging that He knows what's best for us and that His plans are far superior to anything we could come up with on our own. His blessings are not always immediate or in the form we expect, but they are always tailored to our greater good. Sometimes we may not understand why things don't come as quickly or in the way we want, but we can be certain that His provision is always perfect. God's provisions extend beyond material needs. He also provides for our emotional, spiritual, and relational needs. He gives us peace when we are troubled, strength when we are weak, and love when we feel alone. His provision is not just about what we receive, but about the transformation He brings to our hearts and lives. When we trust in His provision, we are trusting that His understanding of what we truly need exceeds our own, and that He will provide in ways we never thought possible. Prayer opens doors to God's will for our lives. When we pray, we are engaging in direct communication with the Creator of the universe. It is through prayer that we align our hearts with God's purposes, opening ourselves to His guidance and wisdom. Prayer is not simply about asking for things. It is about seeking God's will and inviting Him to work in our lives. God's doors of opportunity often open in response to our prayers, because prayer demonstrates our dependence on Him and our willingness to trust in His plan. When we seek God through prayer, we are allowing Him to reveal what He wants for us and to guide us toward the doors He has prepared. Prayer brings clarity and peace in moments of uncertainty, and it positions us to receive the blessings God has in store. God may not always open doors the way we expect or when we expect them, but through prayer, we begin to understand His timing and His will. Prayer helps us discern which doors to walk through and which ones to wait on. It strengthens our faith, knowing that God is always listening and that He has a plan for every step of our journey. Through prayer, we invite God to open doors that lead to growth, purpose, and fulfillment, trusting that He knows the way, even when we cannot see it. Sometimes waiting is part of the preparation. We often view waiting as a delay or a setback, something that holds us back from moving forward in life. But in reality, waiting is an essential part of God's process in preparing us for what He has in store. During periods of waiting, God is not idle. He is working in our hearts, refining our character, strengthening our faith, and equipping us for the opportunities ahead. In the waiting, God teaches us patience, perseverance, and trust. He is preparing us spiritually, emotionally, and even physically for the blessings that will come when the time is right. Just as a seed must spend time in the soil before it can bloom into a beautiful flower, we too must go through seasons of growth before we can step into our God-given destiny. Waiting also allows us to align ourselves more fully with God's will. It gives us the time to pray, seek His guidance, and discern His plans for us. Without waiting, we might rush into opportunities that aren't part of His purpose, or we might miss important lessons He wants to teach us along the way. Waiting builds our trust in God's perfect timing and reminds us that His ways are higher than our ways. So, while waiting may seem like a delay, it is actually a vital time of preparation for what is to come. The right door will open at the right time. We often find ourselves impatiently trying to force open doors, or worrying that we might miss an opportunity. But it's important to remember that God, in His infinite wisdom, knows exactly when and how to open the doors that are meant for us. The door that is meant for you will open at the perfect moment when you are truly ready for what lies beyond it. Timing is everything in God's plan, and what may seem like a delay or a closed door is actually part of the preparation process. God is never early or late. He is always right on time. The right door will open when it's time for you to walk through it, and no amount of worry or effort can speed up or slow down His perfect plan. We often feel like we need to control the situation, but in reality, God's timing is far better than ours. He knows the exact moment when we will be fully prepared, both in our hearts and in our circumstances, to walk into the next season of our lives. So instead of forcing doors open or rushing ahead, trust that the right door will open at the right time, and it will lead you exactly where you need to go. Be patient, have faith, and trust that God is at work in ways you can't always see. The right door is coming, and it will open when the time is right. In conclusion, my friends, I want to remind you that no matter where you are in life, God is at work. His timing is perfect, and His plans for you are greater than you could ever imagine. Even when doors seem to close, trust that He is guiding you towards something better. Every struggle, every delay, every moment of waiting is part of His preparation for something greater ahead. Keep your faith strong, even when you can't see the way, because God sees the path before you. Trust that He knows what's ahead, and that your current circumstances are not your final destinations. His provisions will always exceed your expectations, and when the right time comes, He will open the right door for you. So don't worry. Continue to seek His will, pray for guidance, and wait patiently, knowing that God is working behind the scenes. He is opening doors, preparing you, and leading you to a future filled with His blessings. Rest in the assurance that His plan is always perfect, and in His time, He will open the door that leads you to your next great opportunity. Keep trusting, keep believing, and keep walking forward with faith, because the best is yet to come.